Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Ray Donovan. A great episode, a lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Obviously, you have Perry bringing in Ray, then bringing up the whole conversation, because I was so curious. I was like, all right, so who's Ray going to take down? In the grand scheme of things, it wasn't till later on that I was like, right, of course it would make sense it to be Ferrati. I mean, he is, the top dog. He's literally at the top of this whole situation to begin with. So it's like, all right, so Ray lays it out all like why he killed these cops. They were dirty cops getting kickbacks, and the fact of the matter is that this all goes back to Ferrati, and so it's now like Ray is working with her to get Ferrati because he knows Judge Scholl is involved in this. It's like, I'll give you Judge Scholl and he will give you Ferrati because I have no evidence that'll help you take down Ferrati. So it turns into that whole thing of like, okay, so now I love, once again, Ray doing what he does is so damn good. Obviously he's got Bunchy outside of the judge's place and taking pictures and stuff like that. I'm like, you're making this pretty obvious, aren't you? He's like, right, you want it to be obvious. Like from the beginning you could tell, because like I'm about to say, like, yeah, Bunchy's not that experienced in this, but to be fair, it's like, yeah, I mean, the Donovan family kind of borderline's criminal. Who the hell am I saying borderline? Are heavily criminal, so they know how to do stuff if they need to, but it's like, it was on purpose. They needed it to be seen because obviously he wants to scare the judge into thinking Ferrati's got people looking after not only him, but his wife. Because it seemed like I was like, because the way at first Bochy was taking pictures, I was like, are you trying to blackmail him? Like, is he having an affair or something like that? I was like, oh, no, you want him to think Ferrati's watching him. I like that. Even bugging his place and then being like, yo, for Judge Scholl, we got to talk. I found this bug. Let me check your place. I'm like, you're so good. I was like, oh, man. The plays upon plays, because it's like, I thought that was so interesting because I guess a tap wouldn't be enough. I mean, for one, they're illegally tapping a judge's chambers and stuff like that. So it's like, of course, you'd operate this way to kind of gather the evidence you need, because him as a witness is stronger than you getting some. Because obviously, if they took evidence from illegal taps, it'd be like, what's the terminology? Was it fruit from the poisonous tree? I think that's the metaphor for like evidence that can't be used, whatever the case may be. I was like, and he's convincing Judge Scholl. It's like, yo, Ferrati, like the fact of the matter is this, and this. I'm like, oh my god, hell yeah, dude. And then you get like kind of like the sad side to the situation is the fact is that Smitty, for him, he was in his own right trying to do the right thing. And obviously, Ray must have told Bridget about it because she's packing up her stuff. And he's like, can we talk about this? He's like, I love you so much. It's crazy. They went from having to deal with her cheating to him snitching. So it's like, once again, like even you could look at it and think too much about it and be like, yeah, he kind of did it for self-preservation. But literally, if he didn't care about this family, like he would have included Bridget in that if he didn't love her anymore. He went out of his way to make sure that she was safe too, because at the end of the day, all she did was chop off the head. She didn't actually do any of the killing, because even he's like, I killed somebody. She never actually did, knowing that she was, kind of a victim in all of this. So like, he loves her and he's trying to look out for her. But it's like, the fact of the matter is they like, and it's hard to say what they actually had. Because I think, once again, like, he's never been in this situation before. Like I said, he's not a Donovan, so he's never had a role like a Donovan has, in the sense of kind of like keeping your mouth shut. Like, this is all, new to him. And so the fact is, like, he believed everything Perry said about, oh, we have this evidence, fingerprints and stuff like that. That could have been complete and utter BS, which I would assume it is, because, like, they literally made it so that all the evidence points to Mickey. So there's that. But also the fact is that, the bodies were in the water. So it's like, where would they have gotten like fingerprints and stuff like that from? Because they would have like, so Perry was going off of hunches because she had bits and pieces to the puzzle, but not the entire thing. So Smitty didn't realize he filled in a lot of the blanks for her. She didn't have any evidence. Hence why when she got you first, she didn't take you straight to the station. She had you in the back of a car. That was my go-to of like, yeah, this ain't official. Like, but then she made it official because Smitty started talking, Maybe it was before, maybe it was after, whatever the case may be. Like, it seemed like when they were at the police station, it became more official. But still, she probably didn't have any evidence. But And it sucks because I do wholeheartedly believe that Smitty had the best of intentions. He wanted to look after Bridget because it's like, despite everything, you still love her and care about her. But then like he kind of gets screwed over because they take Bridget in anyway. And I think what's probably most likely what happened is Smitty didn't get an immunity deal signed. It's probably just a thing of like, oh yeah, Perry say like, yeah, we have a deal, but it's like it was never written in stone, so it's probably that slight gray area of like, yeah, nothing was ever officially signed. Because even Smitty's like, like we had a deal and everything, and it's like he goes to see Ray and tells Ray this, but it's like, what can I do? Like, and Ray didn't even say a single word to him because it's like that's the thing, that's the sad thing because like. Ray might be pissed right now, but I think even he can understand that, like, despite everything, you did do it for my daughter's sake. So, you care about my daughter a lot. I don't know if Ray's ever going to get to that realization or really even care at that point just because of everything. But it's just like, I think for him, it's like, you're literally going to, like, send me away to prison so I can never be with my daughter again. So it's kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of pissed about that. But also, it's like, you talking put my daughter even in more danger. I mean, it's like she's literally getting arrested now because you ran your mouth. And then, like, we see Perry talking to Bridget later on, and it's like, oh, I heard about what happened to you. It must have been so traumatizing. Is that what was going through your head when you were chopping off their head? So it's like, yeah, she had no evidence. Because remember what she said? The fact is you guys were involved. She didn't have any evidence. The only reason why she knows about Bridget cutting off the heads is because Smitty talked. So he didn't realize how much he kind of, screwed up in the long run. And it's interesting where that storyline ends up going because it's like Smitty meets up with Mickey, which Mickey's meeting up with someone named Frankie to basically try and, deal with this whole, like, Sullivan business. It's like, all right, so how much is, that 20% of Sullivan's worth? Oh, 2.4 bill. And it's like, okay, so that's interesting. But it's like, if you want to just take the cash right now, it's 65 to 75 mil. Obviously, Frankie gets her 20%. So now he just has to find Daryl, but Daryl's avoiding his calls. Obviously, because Daryl's dealing with what he's dealing with. We'll get to that soon enough. But then lo and behold, I thought that was kind of interesting because it's like, oh, Ray literally just drove by his dad without realizing it. I'm wondering what that conversation would have been like because they haven't seen each other since the motel, since he kidnapped Sullivan. They haven't met face to face. So I'm like, what that conversation was. But like, to be fair, Ray's got so much on his plate right now. That's just too much to deal with. That would have just been another headache. So on top of all that, you have him talking to Smitty and everything. And Smitty ended up explaining, which, hey, Mickey, you think Mickey'd have a bigger problem with it, but for him, he's like, nah, everyone's a rat. He's like, everyone wants to act like, oh, you're a rat. Like, oh, like, want to treat someone bad just because they're a rat. He's like, everyone rats. Everyone is a rat. It's like, hell, Ray ratted on me. I went to prison. I ratted on people to survive. So it's that whole, like, situation. Trying to make Smitty feel better. But then you see him be like, you know what? Oh, it's like, oh, but you didn't tell him about me. He's like, no, I didn't mention you. He's like, see, you're still in my good graces, kid. So it's like, I love that. It's like, oh, but that bigs up the question of like, oh, but it would have been an issue if he ratted on you. It's like, oh, yeah, rat. Wait, you ratted on me. You're a piece of shit. It would have turned into something like that, I'm assuming. But Smitty's like, it's so interesting because he asked Smitty for help to be like, oh, a dead man can't open a bank account, but you can. He needs an account to kind of put the money in and everything. With this whole Sullivan business. And I think it's so interesting. You can't turn to any of your sons for this. Ray's not going to help you. Bunchy's not going to help you. Terry's not going to help you. You don't know where Daryl is. Daryl's involved in this, but even Daryl's not going to help you because he's kind of done with you. But the fact of the matter is, he turned to Smitty. It's like, oh yeah, I no longer have sons. Probably shouldn't go to Bridget because Bridget will most likely turn me down and Ray probably wouldn't be too happy about that. But oh, my good old son-in-law. It's like you literally are running out of people who will actually listen to your BS and help you out with your harebrained schemes, So, which it's like, hey, like, everything seems like it's working out for Mickey. He's like, yeah, he's so excited and happy. It's like, yeah, you're going to get your own cut of this too, Smitty, which is sad because Smitty's in a low point and things are probably going to get worse, him getting mixed up in everything that Mickey's involved in. So there's that side of things. And circling back to this whole Daryl thing, I was wondering what Daryl was going to do. Like, I didn't know how he was going to handle this. And so what he does is he rolls up in front of Sullivan's like business and drops off Jasmine's body, gets out the car, and it's like, yo, Declan, you want to handle this? give me what you promised. And obviously, Jim isn't too happy because it's like Declan handled this the wrong way, and he's even like, I don't want this to turn into a war between our families. And at first it seemed like Ray wasn't really going to get too involved. It's kind of like, Daryl's business isn't my business. I've tried to help that kid out. The fact of the matter is he wants to do this and that's fine. That's on him. And that's kind of what, because Ray didn't jump on it immediately. He's like, all right, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, I guess everything else was kind of more pressing matters, like the whole Judge Scholl situation, increasing his paranoia, setting off a bomb on his car. I was looking at that device. I was like, isn't that explosives? Are you going to come up and be like, whoa, what's this? And then showing that there were explosives right there. I was like, oh no, you legitimate, showing isn't as good as seeing and believing firsthand and seeing the explosion and everything and making it like, oh, Ferrati's trying to kill me. And also spinning things for Ferrati to be like, because he's like, George Scholl is calling me up. He's paranoid, this and that. It's like, don't worry, I'll talk to him. I'll handle it. It's like, oh, dude, Ray knows how to spin a situation. I mean, am I surprised? Should I be surprised? No, he's literally done it the entire series, but it's always marvelous when it's almost like, it's like a masterpiece. It's just like he's a true artist when it comes to manipulating people into getting what he needs and wants. You know, it's incredible. I can never praise him enough because it seems like almost every season I'm like, man, that's crazy you did that, right? Man, you guys are so good at this. You know, like I said, you've had years and years of practice of it, so of coercion and stuff like that. Like I said, I brought it up the other episode. I like the fact is that we see that Ray wasn't always good at this, you know, but you know he's mastered his craft. But then you even had that situation where, Daryl calls up his mom, and Claudette's like, oh, hey, and he's like, I might be going away for a while, but the fact of the matter is, I'm fine. Everything's good, Mom. But she heard something in his voice. It's like, what's wrong? And I think after he killed Declan, what he was probably going to do was, because he was going to run. Now, I was actually scared because I didn't know how that situation was going. Like, either you kill Declan and you're on a run forever, or Declan kills you. It was going to be, that was only going to end one of two ways, So... because who knows, Declan probably would have showed up with backup too, so like that was probably going to go sideways. But it's like, and saying all that he was saying was basically goodbye. And Claudette calls up Ray, and Ray's like, what do you want? And she's like, Daryl, he needs your help. Like, she's like, I literally wouldn't call you if I didn't need your help. So it's like, I don't know where he is, but Ray's like, I'll find him. She's like, before she could even say anything, Ray hung up on her, and she's like, motherfucker. Once again, Ray's never going to be cool with Claudette because, once again, you're the woman that his dad left not only him and his siblings, but also his dying wife for, So it's that's the thing. Like, Daryl was always going to rub Ray the wrong way, always has, because it was a reminder of like, hey, you're a representation of that bastard leaving us for you and your mom. Like, so that's all that, was going to end up being, and Claudette's just a reminder of that, so like, obviously he's never going to, it is interesting because like him and Claudette have never really had too many interactions over the course of the series. I mean, she hasn't popped up that often. She's popped up here and there, but not that often. So he's had more interactions with Daryl. So he actually shows up to look after Daryl, and I thought that was kind of neat. And he's telling Daryl, was like, hey, the fact of the matter is, how's this going to work? You going to be on the run forever like Mickey? It's like, no. Don't do that to yourself. Because he's like, I'm not going to let you end up in that same situation. He's like, why do you even care? He's like, because you're my brother. And then he's like, now I'm your brother? He's like, you motherfucker. Like, all I ever wanted to do was be a part of this family. And you choose now to tell me that I'm your brother? And it's like, yes, you are my brother. Like, because the fact of the matter, once again, Ray has always kind of looked out for Daryl. Like, yeah, I think he recognizes it more now, like, because of everything going down, Sullivan and stuff has probably got him, also, talking to Emerald, it's probably got him thinking like, all right, reflecting a little bit more on himself and his past. He wants to be a better person, and I think that includes being a better brother to Daryl. But like I said, like, you could tell he's always kind of looked out for Daryl's best interest, because he was like, don't get involved with this whole Mickey thing. But Daryl always, because he never felt fully accepted in the family, especially because I think he wanted to be accepted most of all by Ray, because I think, but even then, even with Bunchy and even Terry, he still feels like an outsider in the family. But I think this moment, for him, it's just kind of, I might as well just kill myself. But Ray's like, no, don't do this. Come on. He's like, I don't know what you're going through. I've been there. You know that. And was like, well, yeah, Ray literally was like that not too long ago because of the whole Abby thing. So it's like, I know what it's like in this situation. So give me the gun. And he's like, and I like that Ray says it. He's like, Daryl, I promise I'll fix this. And I'm like, oh, like, cause even when he said, you're my brother, I literally let out an audible. I was like, oh, the feels. It's so good, the brotherly love. I mean, it's a very complicated brotherly love, but, you know, I still thought that was kind of a beautiful moment. And it's like, you kill Declan. And I'm like, I'm wondering, will he? Because let's not forget, all the while this is happening, you have Ray, you know, what he got from Gary about like, oh, like, how can you really look after that dude, especially still work for Sullivan again after everything he did to your sister. And Ray was like, wait, what? I think Molly found something on those tapes because she has been constantly listening to them over and over again, and she was looking out the window drinking. I'm like, she heard something on those tapes that probably gives her a different opinion of her dad. So I'm curious to see where things kind of go down on that route. So that's really going to be interesting because we get flashbacks. Because the fact of the matter is, she did have a good chunk of change. Because I think I also got it twisted. Like, I've talked about this constantly. I've always gotten the ages mixed up between who's the oldest and who's the youngest. I thought in my head, I thought Bridget was the oldest, but it seems like Ray's the oldest. So it's Ray, Bridget, Terry, Bunchy, then Daryl. I knew Bunchy was like the baby of the family, but I could never remember like between Terry and Ray who was the oldest. I thought Bridget was the oldest, but it's like, no, she was the second oldest, I think so. But she had all that money and stuff. I even thought it was kind of sweet how they cut back to like, wait, Bunchy was taking some of the money there. What are you doing? He's like, for grocery. What kind of grocery? He's like, Pop-Tarts. And then like present day, Ray sees some Pop-Tarts and Bunchy's like, yo, and he's like, did you get these? And he's like, yeah, why? And I'm like, oh, like, I like that. I guess, you know, he's kind of on a trip down memory lane, probably remembers like, yeah, you've always liked these as a kid, haven't you? Probably that type of situation. But now, because of hearing what Gary says, it's that thing of like, when he was younger, he didn't think too much of it. But now in retrospect, with that knowledge of Gary being like, what he did to your sister, it's like, wait. Now he starts thinking about some of the time. This is probably closer to around the time Bridget died. It's the fact is that he starts, like I said, I can't, like the fact of the matter is, like, he starts seeing things of being like, all right, like, he starts realizing certain things went down differently because, like, Bridget he was dropping off at school, I think, and she was kind of upset. He's like, what, did you break up with your boyfriend? She's like, it's none of your damn business, and got out the car. Then later on, I guess she was talking to Gary, because I guess she confided in Gary, but it was a mistake, because she didn't want anyone to know. She didn't want, you know, I think it was that, you know, I think it's that situation, you know, people who've been victims of something don't want to talk about it. You know, they kind of might blame themselves. So she might have tried to blame herself to be like, I put myself in this position. Like, he did something to her. He definitely had to, because she was like, yeah, I'm done with the babysitting. He's like, I thought you liked, you know, babysitting Molly. And he's like, can you just take me home, Ray? He's like, okay. And like I said, Molly probably feels guilty because it's like, wow, she was over there babysitting her. It's like, now she probably finds out how much of a monster her dad is, that he did something so terrible like that, especially knowing that Bridget died, most likely as a byproduct, not most likely, definitely a byproduct of that. So it's like, she always probably had a view of her dad, and now over the course of everything, that view is starting to change more and more, especially under these circumstances. Now, I'm curious to see what that information, whatever it is that Molly found out, she tells that to Ray, especially because Ray's trying to mitigate this whole thing. So it's like, okay, so I guess he's going to hand the money off to Sullivan, but obviously he knows there's something definitely up with this whole Sullivan thing. So how's he going to handle the Declan thing? Is he going to kill Declan? Like, what? I think Declan's going to be the one, because Declan's either going to, like, I don't know. I don't know what to kind of make of that situation, because that could go many different directions of either, like, Ray kills Declan or Declan kills his dad to finally take over the business or something like that. Hell, for all we know, he might even try to kill his siblings, which that might push Ray to kill him. I don't know how that whole situation is going to, you know, end up panning out. So there's all of that going on. We even had like this interesting moment in the episode. Obviously, you know, Terry meeting up with Dolores, giving her back her emerald necklace and everything. And Dolores is like, promise me you'll go back, you take your medication, you'll do the whole physical therapy thing. He's like, and she's like, yeah, that sounded convincing. He's like, I'm not going to make you a promise I don't plan on keeping. But for her, it's like, be a better version of yourself. Like, you will stand at the top of all the different dead versions of yourself and be the best version of yourself, you know? And I think, you know, because it's like, hey, Dolores wants me to do this. All right, I'll do it. So He goes to physical therapy, even though he's kind of missed some. And lo and behold, I was like, oh, who's he going to run into? And I was like, right, Emerald. Because it's like, yeah, we found out earlier. It's like, right, he has Parkinson's as well. And obviously Terry doesn't know it's who he is, and he doesn't. But they have this little back and forth. They're talking and stuff like that. It's actually pretty nice. They're kind of joking and stuff like that. I'm wondering, like, I'm actually curious to look into this myself. But like, what that like, because that therapy they're doing, like like doing that, I guess it helps with their situation. So I'm like, I wonder on how to like. From a scientific perspective, like how does that help with their like therapy and stuff like that? Like what does that do for them? You know, I'm curious about that. I thought that was kind of fascinating. Just kind of like like medically, what does that do for them? But like I said, just curiosity. But I thought it was kind of neat. And it's like yeah, Emerald being like, oh yeah, I'm a therapist, and obviously Terry's like, oh, there. It's like, no, I get it. He's like, it's like, so why don't you, it's like, but he's like, I'm a therapist and I have a therapist. It's like that's why all of us kind of got in our professions essentially. And then Terry drops the ball and being like, yeah, if you dealt with my family, you'd be rich with all our issues. It's not easy being a Donovan. And then Emerald caught that. He was like, oh. So you're Ray's brother. Okay. But he doesn't say anything because I think it's that thing of patient confidentiality, so he doesn't want to say anything. But Terry is like, hey, if you ever want to get drinks or something like that, we could, we could talk. And Amaranth's kind of like, all right. So I think like it's probably a thing of like he doesn't want to, probably like, oh, all right, because he knows that, Ray's talked about his family a little bit and stuff like that. So it's like, all right, it's like small world. It's like, oh, things coming together. Obviously, Terry taking a different perspective with this whole situation. Obviously, he tried to take a more holistic, kind of like borderline cultish. I still say borderline cultish, but we'll leave it at holistic approach to, his Parkinson's. I'm surprised that whole thing didn't become bigger, especially because of Liberty. I thought that would have been something, but I guess not. I'm wondering will that circle back in any shape or form? Probably not, but whatever. But I'm curious to see what that means. Like, it's like I said, the universe has a funny way of setting things up. But I'm curious, like the next time him and Ray talks, it'd be like, hey, actually, I ran into your brother. Oh, really? Yeah, Terry. Like we have the same physical therapist and everything. I was like, I'm curious to see kind of what that ends up being. So there's that side of things. Then there's a whole thing of like Perry mentioning to her like superior, like her captain or chief. I think it's her captain. Like, yeah, Ray came through. We're talking to Judge Scholl now, and it's like we see him pick up the phone. I was like, right, we know that he's dirty. It's like, right, we knew he was dirty last season just because other dirty cops would report to him. So it's like, yep. I'm like, so not only does Ferrati most likely know that about all this going on, that Judge Scholl is talking, Perry's investigating this, she knows at least some of this, but also that Ray is like the connective tissue, which means Ferrati's probably going to bring down the force on Ray's family again type of situation. It might be kind of that. So, it's interesting. Once again, I was bringing up like main people in certain seasons never last more. Like it's like that's why I was always surprised when we saw Sam last season, because I was like, you never see main characters from because main characters typically stay to a season, like characters you see periodically. Like Sam, seeing her, she was mainly in season 5. Didn't see her in season 6 was a surprise, and now the same thing's kind of applying with Ferrati. He was in last season, he's in this season, so I doubt he's going to last much longer. That's just how I feel about it. We're going to see how this whole situation shakes out. But obviously, they go to kill Scholl. Like, there's some people sitting there to kill Scholl. End up killing Perry's partner instead. So she calls up Ray because he's the only one she can get. Like, Scholl is literally in the woods alone. Now Ray's there with Perry, and now they have to work together to get to Scholl because this means taking down Ferrati, because they need to take down Ferrati because Ferrati is literally going to be gunning for Ray and everyone he cares about. So that's going to be a whole thing in itself. It's going to be wild to see where this whole situation ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. I am so excited to see how this plays out because I'm so curious, is Judge Scholl going to make it through this? I kind of get the feeling like he won't, but maybe Ray and Perry will be getting to him soon. Because they're not too far behind, but, we'll have to see where this and everything else takes us going forward. Especially because, like, what's Mickey going to think when he actually meets up with Daryl? Because Bunchy was sent to pick up Daryl. So I was like, when that whole conversation happens, like, oh, yeah, so where is it? Yeah, Ray has it. But also, Daryl's done with his dad anyway, because it's like, understanding who Mickey is and everything, like, he's kind of starting to see Mickey the same way Claudette sees him, as well as literally everyone else in the family sees him. He's finally starting to see him that way. Hopefully Smitty, like I said, doesn't get caught up in that. Hopefully they're able to kind of get Smitty. Hey, Smitty, get away from him. He's too much. He's trouble. This and that. It's going to be interesting to see because I don't see things ending well for Mickey this season. Like I said, just because of Terry's like vision and stuff like that, that might have just been that. But it's like he had a vision about that deer and everything, and it ended up coming true, which Terry kind of took note of. He was like, but he didn't say anything to Ray. But it's like, I don't know, man. That might be something. There might be something to that by the end of this. Probably it might end up being a Jim and Mickey situation, whatever the case may be. Like I said, we'll just kind of have to wait and see. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about this episode. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.